Can Michigan and Michigan State get kicked out of the Big Ten? I know it sounds crazy. If a Michigan State law passes, it can happen. I'll explain how, and I'll give some expert analysis on what I think will happen. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below. We're getting this close to 20,000 subscribers thanks to you guys out there. And share, like, and follow so you don't miss a single episode. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So, how Michigan and Michigan State can get evicted. Interesting. Plus, Wisconsin is suing Miami for tampering and poaching. Remember XAVIER Lucas? We'll talk about that. Plus, our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend right around the corner. But first, today, we will explore Michigan House Bill 4643. 4643. And whether it will force Michigan and Michigan State to choose between remaining in the Big Ten or obeying a possible new state law. Will they have to forge through the world of college football as an independent like Notre Dame? Seems extreme, but these things are out there. That's why we talk about them. Maybe the choice will be made for them. Maybe they'll get kicked out of the Big Ten. I don't think so. But can you imagine the Big Ten without Michigan or Michigan State? Can you imagine Michigan or Michigan State without the Big Ten? Me neither, folks. Me neither. But this is very similar. This is very similar to the podcast that we did a few weeks ago, maybe last month, about Tennessee, maybe getting kicked out of the SEC. Kind of the same reason: state law superseding college football law. So, how about some actual details here so we can have a conversation about this? 4 state lawmakers in Michigan are pushing House Bill 4643. If passed, it would exempt the state's universities from rules, and here's the important part, from also exempt them from accountability that would prevent Michigan and Michigan State from paying its players whatever they wanted. In other words, there would be no limits to what the Wolverines and the Spartans could pay their players if they follow the state of Michigan rule. That's different from NCAA rules or college football rules. All right. The law would also protect Michigan and Michigan State from any punishment from any entity like the NCAA or the new College Sports Commission that they've put together. It would protect them from all that if they wanted to go that route. Again, that means schools would be protected from NCAA punishment, new College Sports Commission, whatever we're calling it now instead of the NCAA, the new watchdog group organization that we just came up with last week with the recent House Settlement that's going to bring us revenue sharing and a whole bunch of new rules for college athletics, revenue sharing with limits. The revenue sharing with limits, this Michigan law would remove the limits. Okay? You kind of understand that a little bit. A big component of the House Settlement, the blueprint that college football will be using as of July 1st, involves this College Sports Commission now that will scrutinize every name, image, and likeness deal for every player at every school to make sure that it is legitimate and follows the rules of college football. There has to be a specific job or service or promotion attached to the name, image, and likeness money that goes to a player now. The days are long gone now where a collective says, here, kid, here's $2 million. Come play football for us. And that's it. Okay. With the days of not having a job or something attached to that $2 million, the pay for play, that's gone. That's gone with the new House Settlement. But the state of Michigan, their legislature says that, hold on, not so fast. They say that their House Bill 4643 would prohibit the requirements of its state schools to report its name, image, and likeness deals to anybody else. Say, hey, it's none of their business. It's not the NCAA's business. It's not the College Sports Commission's business. It's just Michigan's business. It's just Michigan State's business. They don't have to report it to anybody. according to this state law, if it becomes law. It's not law yet. It's just a House bill that is being considered right now in the state of Michigan. So here's the potential problem facing Michigan and Michigan State, and the Big Ten, and Tennessee's problem with the SEC. The Power Four conferences, they've been promulgating a document or a signed oath, if you will, that its member schools will agree to abide by the new rules of the new College Sports Commission, abide by the rules of college football, no matter what your local state's rules are or new laws are. The new rules of college football, including punishment for noncompliance, you got to agree to that, no matter what your state legislature comes up with. The document specifically prevents conference schools from using their state laws to avoid or violate the new rules of college athletics. The document also requires member schools to waive their rights to seek legal challenges against the new College Sports Commission. Failure to sign this document would mean the schools will be kicked out of the conferences. I mean, it sounds harsh, but it's right there. You don't sign this, you're not with us anymore. And in addition to that, if you think, all right, we'll go on our own, it would prevent their other member schools from playing a school that's been kicked out. For example, Ohio State, Oregon, all these other schools. If Michigan and Michigan State went rogue, Ohio State and Indiana and Nebraska, they would not be allowed to play Michigan or Michigan State. They'd be blackballed in essence with all this. So unless Michigan or Michigan State would want to play a bunch of FCS teams or second-tier conference teams, they're going to have to play ball. And they're going to have to ignore their own state laws and abide by the rules of the College Sports Commission. Now, as of today, we're at two different places here, two different scenarios. The state of Tennessee actually did pass their law on May 1st. That's why we talked about it here on this podcast, because we were wondering, hey, maybe Tennessee's getting kicked out of the SEC. We did a whole thing, hey, should they come to the Big Ten? That's why we talked about it that day. Plus, we like to talk about the big issues going on in college football. So the Volunteers have indicated they're going to sign the SEC document or the college document and remain in the SEC. They're not going to rock the boat, regardless what their state of Tennessee laws say that they can do. The Michigan bill, it's far from becoming law in the land of Michigan. Not yet. It's not there yet. There has not been an official statement that we are aware of from Michigan or Michigan State on this matter, or whether they're lobbying one way or the other for this law. There are also numerous legal challenges lining up against the House settlement, the whole big revenue share settlement with college football. There are going to be a lot of challenges to that just because that passed on June 6th and then came down June 6th. We're not over with yet. As of right now, there is a stay on paying former players. That's on hold. Current players will get paid the revenue share. That's part of it. And they're going to move forward. And there's going to be all these sorts of legal challenges, Title IX, equal payments to women versus men's sports. It's a thing. It's good. Every day it seems like we're going to come out here and talk about some sort of legal case out there. So just making you aware of it, because I know you guys are a very smart audience and are on top of all this stuff. Michigan, of course, is an original member of the Big Ten since 1896. Michigan State has been around since the 1950s. And for now, I would not anticipate anything regarding these two schools putting their Big Ten status in jeopardy anytime soon. Not going to happen. The conference is too much of a cash cow for each member. Now, if we ever get to the point where a decision makes more money than the other decision, then maybe we can have a conversation. But right now, nobody's leaving the Big Ten. Nobody. Regardless of what happens to this House bill in the state of Michigan. But again, this is just a micro sample of the kinds of stories and lawsuits and legal appeals that are about to dominate our attention in the world of college athletics moving forward. Anyway, we'll love your opinion on it. Hit us up with the comments on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that free subscribe button wherever you're at, and let's help push us to 20,000 subscribers before the start of football season. And don't forget, if you could share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, that'd be a great help to us. Don't forget our website, talkbig10.com. It's where all of our podcasts go. Plus, you can always find links to buy your favorite team's merchandise for the 2025 season. Shirts, T-shirts, hats, Michigan State fans out there, you can get it right there at our website, talkbig10.com. All right. Do you remember Xavier Lucas at Wisconsin? He was only there for a year, but we talked about him in January as part of a we've been in a lot of rules, and now there's a lawsuit between Wisconsin and Miami, the U. Tampering and poaching over this one kid. We'll talk about it. And it's not just him. It affects everybody in college football. We will get to all of this. Is a hot button for every coach out there. Plus, we'll have our top 10 Big Ten observations for the weekend. All that coming up next right here on Locked On Big Ten. FanDuel makes the excitement of watching sports even more exciting if you got a little something on it. You know, summer sports are in full swing. Whether you're all about baseball, golf, high-stakes soccer, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. So check it out and get involved with FanDuel. Helps you really get into the game with you or your friends. And look, it's better than getting sunburned at the beach, right? Hit FanDuel right now. I've been using FanDuel forever, checking out favorite matchups, point spreads, over-unders, parlays. Bring it all together. It's easy to use, fast payouts, and it makes regular season games feel like playoffs. It's just, you're more intense. You really are. So check it out. FanDuel helps you be part of the action. If you are new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So open the FanDuel app today and visit FanDuel.com/LockedOnCollege and get started. That is FanDuel.com/LockedOnCollege. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. We really appreciate it. And you everydayers out there that help make us go. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below as we make our push to 20,000 subscribers for the start of football season. And if you could share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, that would be very appreciated as well. And don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10.com. Follow our podcasts and merchandise right there at your fingertips. All right, more legal wrangling. This feels like an episode of LA Law or something. We're talking about all these legal cases. I can't wait till football gets here. We can actually talk about games, but I do like talking about this stuff. I do find it very interesting. So we got another legal case here, and this one is going to leave a mark on college athletics. So let's get caught up with what's going on with Wisconsin and Miami, the U down there in South Florida. Remember Xavier Lucas? Yeah, we did, again, a podcast on this back in January. Former defensive back with the Badgers. Look, we've heard numerous coaches complain about tampering and poaching kids and trying to get them into the transfer portal. Matt Rule went so far as to cancel his spring game with the Nebraska Cornhuskers because he didn't want other schools scouting out his players on TV and then get him in the portal and stealing them. Jerome Moore at Michigan would not allow the Big Ten Network to air its spring game until a week later after the transfer portal was closed. So this is the thing. So on Friday, the University of Wisconsin and its Name, Image, and Likeness Collective filed a lawsuit against the University of Miami over alleged legal interference regarding the services of football player Xavier Lucas. So what happened here? This is another one of those legal precedent-setting cases that could change how we do business conducted in college athletics. So it's something we want to pay attention to. Here's the deal. Xavier Lucas was a defensive back at Wisconsin. And then he left Wisconsin, literally left school in January and went to Miami. That happens every day, right? We follow the transfer portal all the time. But here's the thing. Lucas never entered the transfer portal. Wisconsin refused to put his name in the portal when he requested to transfer because they had a binding contract with the player. He, and I'll explain that in a minute, but he just dropped out at Wisconsin and enrolled at the U. So here's the thing. He signed a 2-year revenue sharing contract with Wisconsin, not a name, image, and likeness contract, a revenue sharing contract, 2-year deal. Here's what you're going to get paid for the next 2 years from our athletics department if you play for Wisconsin. You may be asking yourself, wait a minute, revenue sharing was not a thing in January. It just became a thing June 6th. How can this happen? You're 100% right. You're absolutely right. It was more of a promissory note. said, hey, when revenue share becomes a thing moving forward, here's what your payment will be at Wisconsin for the next 2 years following. And the contract was one of the first of its kind in the country. And the Badgers were just trying to get ahead of the curve here. But then Lucas all of a sudden wanted to leave. He and his lawyers argued that he was leaving before revenue sharing became a thing, locked in. And as I said, it didn't become a thing until June 6th. This is back in December, January. So he and his lawyers decided they were free and clear to go wherever they wanted without breach of contract. And again, at the time, there was no revenue sharing, so no contract, according to them. Wisconsin begs to differ. They say a deal's a deal, and we set up the fact that, hey, revenue sharing is not a thing, but it will be, so this is going to be our contract. So they think we have a deal. By the way, the Badgers are not taking this out legally on Xavier Lucas. I think they're afraid of opening up an antitrust lawsuit if they go after Lucas here, and then the entire transfer portal for all of college football could blow up. So maybe somebody else will carry that mantle later. I'll come circle back to that in just a minute. So they're suing Miami for interfering with a binding revenue share contract between Lucas and Wisconsin. The lawsuit claims that Miami knowingly induced Lucas while knowing he had a contract with Wisconsin, and that Miami made impermissible contact with the player and engaged in tampering. Wisconsin said it was reluctant to file this lawsuit, but it was committed, it says, to the integrity and the fairness of the ever-changing world of college athletics. By the way, the Big Ten supports Wisconsin. The Big Ten is throwing its conference weight behind the Badgers in this lawsuit. So if Wisconsin wins, every school is going to have a non-tampering clause in every revenue share contract moving forward. And that'll probably be a good thing, actually. Multi-year deals like Lucas's, they'll also slow down transfer movement where kids go from school to school every single year, right? You got a multi-year deal, 2-year deal. You're not going anywhere next year. You got a contract. That was one of the ideas behind all this. Now, tampering and poaching other kids at other schools has always been against NCAA rules. But you can add this to the list of the feckless NCAA and its responsibilities that it failed to do, leading to this mess in college athletics. So coaches pull their hair out over this. Tampering and poaching kids is when they're under scholarship, if you will. Think of it as under contract. You're not allowed to do it. It happens every day, and then nothing ever happens. You ask every coach in college football if they're upset about tampering and poaching and all that. Every one of them will go, yeah, we got to fix this. There's no punishment, even though it's against the rules. So NCAA failed here again. So we'll see what comes out of this lawsuit. Maybe we'll get some of this stuff dialed in. This is one of the reasons the NCAA just lost all of its power, taken away with the new House Settlement deal on June 6th. So, by the way, Lucas played as a freshman at Wisconsin last year. He was a 4-star out of high school. He made like 18 tackles in 11 games. He was playing a little bit. They obviously think a lot of him at Wisconsin, a 4-star. They were going to give him a 2-year revenue share deal. They thought he was going to be there for a while. They wanted him to be there for a while. He is from South Florida. And so when the season ended, he reportedly wanted to transfer closer to home to be near his ailing father. But Wisconsin says that Lucas kept changing his story as to why he was leaving. It didn't add up. And so they put their foot down. Says, no, you got a contract. You're staying here. So Wisconsin also feels like it has evidence of numerous instances where Miami improperly contacted this kid, which would have been tampering and all that. So they're going after him. They're going after the U. And also Wisconsin claims that Miami also made a more lucrative offer than Lucas was making at Wisconsin. Another reason why the kid probably wanted to leave. So another thing that this lawsuit will do, it will point out the lack of enforceability of the transfer portal. Here's the whole deal with the transfer portal. So, in fact, this lawsuit could kill the transfer portal. But here's why we have the transfer portal. Once a kid puts his name into the transfer portal and the school has to agree to do it, now other schools are allowed to contact that kid. If he's not in the transfer portal, then you're tampering. Then you're trying to poach a kid. That's illegal, according to the NCAA, even though they don't enforce it. So that's why we have to have a transfer portal, and we've had that for a few years. Kind of just it says, all right, I'm a free agent. I'm open game. Everybody's cool with it. I'm free to be contacted. So, but this kid, Lucas, he just dropped out of school and signed up for classes at Miami. Boom, gone. No transfer portal. What's up with that? So this will get ironed out too, I think, in this lawsuit as well. As usual, everything about college athletics and college football, totally up in the air. We talked a lot of legal court case stuff here today. Still love your opinion on it as well. All right. If you are new to our podcast, and many of you are new people every day, we always do a feature in our third segment. Today, we're going to do our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. Do that every Monday. And Tuesdays, tomorrow, we're going to do Tuesday tweets from Twitter. Throw something on Twitter. We'll pull it off and put it on the show. Wednesdays, we power rank stuff. Thursdays, we look ahead to the Big Ten Network's programming for Big Ten classics that you might want to enjoy over the weekend, cool off, get inside a little bit, and then we do some sort of picks or odds on our Friday show. So, top 10 Big Ten observations coming up next right here on Locked On Big Ten. Time for our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend around the Big Ten. We'll put them on screen. If you're audio only, we'll describe them in detail. It's a list, one at a time. We can follow along on audio. I did this a little bit last week. I want to do this again, starting up number 10, regarding last night's Game 7 of the NBA Finals between the Pacers and the Thunder. And there are a couple of Big Ten alum on those rosters. Of course, Indiana's Thomas Bryant. And then also a shout out to Maryland alum, Aaron Wiggins, with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Game 7 NBA Finals last night. Something. So a little shout out to the Big Ten in that game. All right. Elsewhere, a couple other things we want to highlight here. I want to talk about Rutgers ace Bailey. By the way, every time we put something on a top 10 Big Ten observation, doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. It's just an observation I had over the weekend. So we got the NBA draft coming up, and 2 players from Rutgers, Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, are going to be lottery picks. They might both go in the top 3 to 5 to 7. Harper's going to probably go top 2 right after Cooper Flag. But Ace Bailey could go as high as 3, maybe fall to 7. But he and his agent have had an unusual strategy getting ready for the draft. They've been turning down teams for interviews. Like Philadelphia, they're going to be picking early. He refused to meet with them. What is that? I don't understand that strategy at all. So wanted to point it out. It's a talking point regarding all this, and thought I'd put it on our list of my observations over the weekend. I just raised my eyebrows. Go, what does this kid do? Who is his agent? You're not helping him at all. So I'm going to make mention of that. The lawsuit, the Wisconsin lawsuit that we just talked about. I'm going to put this here at number 7 on our list. We're going to see how this plays out. Xavier Lucas, again, very interesting in how Wisconsin is not suing the student for breach of contract, but suing the U, Miami, for pulling the kid away and tampering and poaching, even though they knew he had a deal. And again, this is going to have ramifications with the transfer portal as well. So keep an eye on that Wisconsin lawsuit. I know some of you think it's like getting in the weeds a little bit with the legal stuff, but it is very, very important. Like I said earlier, I like talking about it. I think it's interesting. A lot of interesting stuff. All right. So also on this list, Big Ten recruiting weekends. The last several weekends, all the schools around the Big Ten, college football for that matter, been having their big weekend visitations. It's usually not just one recruit here. You usually get a group of them, maybe a half a dozen or a dozen. You bring them in and you wine them and dine them. I don't know about whining, but you dine them and show them the ropes, get them involved in the team. Hopefully they're like, hey, let's I want to come here to go to school. I want to come here and play. This is great. So these big late pushes, these weekends have been going on. And a lot of kids, we talk about this every day on Locked On Big Ten. I think we do a pretty good job of keeping track of it for your favorite teams in the conference. Have already verbally committed. Again, the verbal commitments don't mean much. Official signing day isn't until December. But these kids commit, and they can flip and flop, even though they commit. But the schools are trying to get them to commit, kind of get them in the system a little bit, and keep the communication going as these kids finish off their high school careers. A lot of them who have not been announced yet. The last week here in June through 4th of July is usually a pretty big time to go ahead and make your announcement as to where you're going to school. So this is something to keep an eye on. I wanted to put it here on our top 10 Big Ten observations because I'm always keeping an eye out for you guys for this stuff. I know you're very interested. Another one, Mason Graham from Michigan. Remember that? Of course, he was a top 5 pick with the Browns, and he was rolling out to practice, and the fans were there. And, of course, where's Cleveland? It's Ohio. Ohio people tend to not like Michigan people. And Mason Graham, your first-round draft pick, Cleveland, he rolls out to practice, and you guys booed him. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's expected, but the first time he makes a sack or makes a play, they'll start cheering for him. But, yeah, that's tough. That's really tough. Well, welcome, number 1 top draft pick, number 5 pick overall. Welcome to Cleveland. Also, Michigan football, I want to make note of this. They just got a commitment from a 3-star running back, Jonathan Brown. All right, they get commits from running backs all the time. No big deal. Side note to this story, Jonathan Brown is from Columbus, Ohio. In fact, he goes to the high school where Ryan Day's son plays. I believe Ryan Day's son is a quarterback, and he's on that team. He chose Michigan. I thought it was amusing. Make of it what you will. Number 3, this was going into the weekend. We had this on Friday's podcast. Oregon got a commitment from 4-star Jet Washington. He's a 4-star from Nevada. Chose Oregon over Alabama and USC. He is Kobe Bryant's nephew. He's 6'5". He's a safety at 6'5". Had 5 interceptions last year. Lengthy. Get his hands on the ball. Yes, he's a good basketball player. 2 state titles. 2 sports star in high school. But he's going to Oregon to play safety. Thought that was a pretty big deal. And again, out recruiting Alabama and USC for that. I want to throw Penn State's Drew Allar on this list. Their quarterback, Phil Steele, came out with his preseason All-American list, and your starting first-team quarterback is Drew Allar. Give him a shout-out. There are dozens of Big Ten players on this list. Thought I'd start with the starting quarterback, and Drew Allar made that. Big expectations for Drew Allar and Penn State this football season. And number 1 on my list, hey, summer solstice. First weekend of summer. Daylight is longest daylight hours of the year. And get out there and enjoy your summer. And that's good news. So, yeah, I observed it. Our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. There you go. What'd you think of that list? Let me know with the comments. Always love to hear from you. You can hit us up on Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten. Our website, talkbig10.com with the number 10. All of our podcasts go there. Plus, you can get Big Ten merchandise from your favorite school right there. Don't forget to hit that free subscribe button before you go. That way you'll never miss a single episode, and that'll help us push toward 20,000 subscribers for the start of football season. Hey, feel free to go back and catch the podcast from last week as well. They're not outdated yet. Still very current. If you missed one, want to catch a second one for a second listen, always invite you to check out some more here from Locked On Big Ten. And if you want, you can check out our friend Brian Smith from the Portal Show. He's got a very good show out there keeping track of all these portal decisions throughout college football. So the Portal Show on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. That'll do it for us. Thank you for checking us out. Spread the word of mouth. That's how this thing goes. That's how we get to 20,000 subscribers. Cover the entire Big Ten, all 18 teams, with news, opinion, and analysis all in one place right here. Thanks for checking us out, and I can't wait until we meet again tomorrow. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll see you next time.